on Let 'Em Cook, it's patch season, baby. We got Akuma coming down the pipeline. We got Tekken 8 getting updates. Who else is getting nerfed?
There's a lot of talk about fighting game content in the past week. It's time to weigh in and get a little passionate.
And finally, Combo Breaker is bigger and better than ever. It's like Christmas for fighting games.
They not like us. They not like us. They not like us. We cook! Welcome to Let 'Em Cook. My name is Tabani.
I'm Sankola.
And I'm Lumi.
Man, it's been an insane couple weeks for the FGC. We wrapped up Evo Japan. We've had a lot of different stories we have a lot of different discussions about storylines and legacy in the FGC, and a ton of news about how the games that we love are changing and growing. Sankola, Lumi, how you guys doing?
Doing fantastic, especially after seeing all that great gameplay out of Evo Japan. But as you mentioned, the landscape is about to change for many of these games, and I'm excited to see it happen. We'll get to that later, though.
Oh, is that what you meant by storylines? I meant Kendrick v. Drake.
Oh, that's what you were talking about.
Yeah,
that's a different sort of street beef. All right, that's a different sort of street beef.
Meant. That's a 7-3 matchup, my friends.
Yes.
There was a bunch of DLC and a bunch of patches, and it went from a 5-5 to a 7-3 very quickly.
Lumi, who you think won? Who you think won? Lumi.
Right, is it even like
there's a correct answer, Lumi.
I know the answer is Kendrick, obviously.
Just had to make sure. We just had to make sure am I on the same page. The Drake fans, Drizzy fan, go get at you.
Oh my god!
If you glazed, I just want to let you know. I just want to let you know so hard. If you glazed right now, I would 100% be like, "There's a new producer coming to this podcast next week." Like, I'm not even kidding.
My glorious king,
like,
Drake.
Bro, I saw a TikTok. Yeah. I saw a TikTok this morning. Like I'm getting annoyed with all of the people who are like not not hip hop fans starting to get involved and build theories. And I was like,
stop
shut
talking
the
about
fuck.
the celebrities. Like, it's like,
Yeah.
Come
Can
on,
we stop
man.
talking?
Diverting your eyes.
Yes. World peace. Like, shut the fuck up. That's not a reference to Matt. I think, yes, focus on Gaza and Rafa and everything like that. But, I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about Stacy, the soccer mom, who wants to, talk about her candles that she's making for her business.
Strange how she only care about when, black folk rapping. And not other things, she ain't got the same sort of energy. But, that's just strange. But, this is not that type of podcast. What we are focusing right now, we're to cook on the fighting games. What's the topic? The first topic of the day.
Hip-hop's a part of fighting games.
It is. It is. But we're going to be here for a while if we do that.
But, let's jump into a topic that's not controversial. But let's jump into a topic that is, not necessarily controversial, but it is a bunch of good news and a bunch of shifts in the landscape of the games that we love. And it is patch season, baby. We are talking about new season coming up for Street Fighter 6, new patches for Tekken 8, new patches for Guilty Gear Strive. MK1 exists. Any hope for changes that we have in these patches in the future? Cole, I'm going to start with you. Just game by game, how do you feel like all these games are right now? With this new season coming up, I know that we're in the middle of a very offensive season for fighting games just in general. What are our thoughts?
First of all, I like Street Fighter as it is right now. It could use some adjustments, and they are making some adjustments. They don't seem heavy, though. So recently, they had a play test over in Japan. You couldn't take pictures or videos, but all the big Japanese names were out there playing the game and figuring out all the cool new things that were happening with the game. Now, unfortunately, from what was said so far, there aren't massive shifts to like the drive system and other things. The biggest shift so far with this game for Street Fighter 6 Season 2 is that you get drive reversal on wake up, which is big. It's massive for characters that don't have a defensive reversal or way to wake up, safely, or not safely, I should say, wake up like with an ODDP or something like that. Either way, it lets characters like Kimberly, Geef, characters that don't have a reversal, fight back a lot better. So it should make some of these characters stronger and curb the tier list just a little bit, in theory. And there's also been some changes to the characters. They don't seem super drastic. Some characters getting new combos and things like that. Some nerfs here or there. Overall, it does seem like it's a shift, but I don't think it's going to be a big shift that people want in terms of like, we'll nerf the drive gauge and turn down the damage and stuff.
Well, do you think that there should be? I think the biggest question is what kind of game do they want this to be, right? You know, are we're talking about a game that is built on, you know, high, I mean, like, because this isn't just this game. There's a ton of games that are just built on rampant offense right now, you know,
Right.
and
Modern days.
I think that, and that's because of, and I mean, look, like you saw from Street Fighter 4 to Street Fighter 5, a lot of people in Street Fighter 4 feeling like the vortex was frustrating. They fucking hated that part of it. And there was like, hey, we want good, honest, neutral and footsies. And Street Fighter 5 had its issues, but tried to focus on neutral and footsies. And then you had some problems with that, like, oh, all these buttons are useless, we only have a few routes. And now Street Fighter 6 is there, and you have a lot of routes, you have a lot of options, you have a lot of ways to go about character expression, but it's very mental stack heavy. There's a lot of options that are very, very good. I think my question is like, what do you think what do we want this game to be, really? Like, do we want, I mean, like you said unfortunately the drive, do you feel like certain system mechanics really should be toned down, like rush and perfect parry? I mean, I know some top players have said, I mean, I don't know if all top players, but like many top players have said that rush and parry are way too strong. Do you think that those should change significantly, or if that's like a lot of bluster?
Let me tap
go
in
ahead,
here for a
Lumi.
second.
Talk.
Yeah,
Talk to me.
So this is really interesting, and this is something that I'm not particularly aware if Capcom made apparent or if they said this in the past, but we don't know if the drive gauge is a dial for game balance. We don't know if they ever intend to adjust the economy of the drive, right? So certain things costing 1 versus, something like, let's say, like a raw drive rush is only like pretty much 2 versus a drive rush confirming off of a button, which takes 3 drive meter, right? We don't know if Capcom wants to adjust those dials, and if those dials are even dials to begin with. We don't know if that's set in stone. And that's the one thing that I particularly would like some sort of like clarification on in particular. Because if we start looking at that and if we start making micro changes, it's really a macro change. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you change
Especially
one
this
thing,
game.
like let's say drive reversal being 2 bars instead of 1, right? Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's 1 currently.
Drive reversal, I think drive reversal is 2.
It's 2? So what if
I think it's
So
2.
reverse it then. Reverse it then.
So reverse it, right? So like if drive reversal took 1, then how would that affect every character down the line? Zangief now has access to 6 drive reversals instead of 3. Right?
Yeah.
Something like that. So I think
that would fuck the game, though, because everybody would then use drive reversal, like all the. I mean, I already think this change about drive reversal. For those of you who don't know, drive reversal, the mechanic where if you hit somebody on block and you press forward and you know what would be a drive, like hard punch, hard kick, you do this little like an alpha counter where it's like you push somebody off, like get the fuck off me,
get off,
stop
me.
pressuring me.
Like V reversal if you played 5, you know.
Yeah.
And so they've now made it so that on wake up, when you wake up, you press that input and everybody can just do it immediately on wake up. No raw. Nobody has to touch a button. It's a get the fuck off me reversal, so that now everybody has an option to do that. And it's -6, so it's less. It's still punishable,
Safer.
but it's less
what's
punishable.
Safer. Yeah.
And it's an option that it'll make things interesting. It's I think it's been perceived as a good change, right?
I think most people like the change. And when I say unfortunately, it's not because me personally, I want, part of me does want to see what they'll do if they shift everything. But as you mentioned, Lumi, you pull one piece, the whole thing could crumble. And when I say unfortunately, I really mean just like, unfortunately, I have to hear people bitching about this game for another season because they didn't change some things that the game is meant to be. Getting down to it, I want some changes drastically. Well,
I guess I'm asking what changes are like, what do you think? Look, I hear things on Twitter is different from private conversations we have with people.
Right.
For sure.
From conversations, you don't have to reveal, but like, what do you feel the conversations are that you've had about what top players want changed?
It's wild
and do you feel? Yeah,
I mean, like, bro, you ask one top player, they're going to tell you something different than the other top player. That's the problem.
Well, what do you think of the commonalities, and what do you think sticks, and what do you think is kind of like,
there's
complaining?
Nothing sticks. I'm going to be real, like, not a lot sticks between top players. In terms of aggression, there's a general idea of like, I want this to, like, the general, like, maybe the damage output to be nerfed. I want the drive gauge to be less, like, drive rush in front of your face. They want to stop crushing and kicking the drive rush. They want to stop that. I think that's the most prevalent thing. But
crouching meaning to drive rush.
Yeah, they want to stop the just a general drive rush meta of just doing it raw. They want a little bit more finesse behind that. I think drive reversal makeup will help that because you can't do that as often. But the idea of how to get there, to get to that point, is different between every single person I talk to. It feels like, and even between the players, you see them arguing and they discuss and debate. That's why it's so hard to patch this game. That's why I say it's unfortunate again, because they're going to drop this in people have a singular idea of how they want to change, and it's not going to be to anybody's. So at that point, at the end of it, what I'm trying to get at is let the game be what it needs to be for Street Fighter 6 to be what it needs to be. Let it refine itself in Street Fighter 6 in its element. Let it be more Street Fighter 6. I would like a little bit less crouch to kick drive rush. I do like the change to drive reversal. Maybe dim down the damage a little bit more. They're also taking away the bar from like level 2s. So you don't like gaining bar. We have the level 2 out for Rashid. I believe Blanca has that change too as well. And there could be more changes. We don't know yet. We don't know. And this is just like the preliminary stuff. This could be an older build. And so I feel like they're understanding how to pull the game back from the chaos, but still keep the Street Fighter 6 stuff. Some people don't like that. They want more control, but this game is not about control. It's about finding control in the chaos. It's not about giving you the control all the time. It's about giving you the ability to find control within the chaos. And sometimes the answer is to block. Sometimes the answer is to take the damage. That's just how it is. Now, Lumi, for Tekken 8, how is it over there with the patch notes?
Dude, so overall, a lot of thumbs up from a lot of people in the scene. I've seen content creators and pros alike say, hey, this is a good step in the right direction. Obviously, I don't know how it is over in Street Fighter land right now, but in Tekken land, people...
Well, we don't have full patch notes, so y'all do.
The top tiers. The top tiers. Let me tell you. Like,
I think we're in that phase of Tekken. I mean, there was definitely the honeymoon phase for Street Fighter 6, and then very shortly after, there was definitely a few months of Street Fighter 6 where people were like, this game is fucked. And I was like, why? Where are we going here? And I think because we had so much, I mean, Tekken 7 and Street Fighter 5 had two very different life cycles, right? Mm-hmm. Street Fighter 5 was like, hey, yo, let's jump this fucking game in the parking lot and stab it to death. Like this game, that game was so bodied.
Take your shoes.
Before it even had no runway. And so a lot of people were just super pissed about that fucking game.
Rightfully so.
Right. Well, I mean, like, it eventually, we keep on qualifying. It eventually turned out okay. Yes. Yeah. But generally people are not like glazing Street Fighter 5, like they would Street Fighter 4 or Street Fighter 3. Definitely not. Like, now the revisionism on Street Fighter 3 is hilarious to me, because when that game came, I've talked to so many top players from like the Street Fighter 2 days who are just like, yo, this game fucking sucked. I hated it, and then now like it's like Street Fighter 4 is beloved, Street Fighter 3 is beloved. All those problems have evaporated. But long story long to say, Tekken 7 is going to I feel like the transition from Tekken 7 to Tekken 8, when the honeymoon period ends, is going to be a lot harsher, because you don't have that immediate like, oh, we're repeating the same cycle, which was immediately what happened in Street Fighter 6, when people were like, oh, this game sucks. Does it, or is it a brand new game?
Right.
Like, is that what's happening? Like, and there are legitimate criticisms of Street Fighter 6 and of Tekken 8. It's just that blunts a little bit of those criticisms to people, for people to be like, well, let me figure out how to navigate and adapt and change.
Absolutely.
Because that Tekken 8 story ran away with itself.
Yeah, and let me add on to that, because that's something interesting that we're also seeing nowadays compared to back then. We're seeing a lot more transparency from the devs. Like I said before with the Street Fighter changes, I would really like more statements from these devs. And something that please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments or something like that, guys. But in these patch notes, they're providing arrow symbols pointing up and down, clearly indicating that the devs think this is a buff or a nerf, and then a paragraph explaining the direction they want to take the character in. I will eat that shit up every day.
You know what? I think they got that, though?
It's so good.
Do you know where I think they got that, though? No, not even really. Ki.
Well, I'm just guessing because they had good patch notes and they're so good with the patches.
Did you guys see? So Helldivers, which thank God. By the way, Helldivers also. We should have talked about that, but we'll talk about that another time. But Helldivers had a huge controversy where this last weekend or the last few weeks. But one of them was a patch, and the patch nerfed like 27 different weapons. Right, nerfed and buffed 27 different weapons, and they said what the changes are, and the balance in that game is all over the place. There are weapons that are really, really fucking good. Really, it's a fun fucking game though because it's PvE. But because of the insane amount of balance changes, a lot of people are like, "This weapon sucks now. This weapon's good. What is this? What is this?" And so the devs got a lot of heat for how many changes they are making to the entirety of how you play this game. And so they had to literally go back to their Discord and they re-released the patch notes with similar up and down arrows for what they think is a buff and because I remember that was a big story. Them like, hey, the devs are literally clarifying what they think is a buff and what they think is a nerf here, which I think is I think that's a good thing too. Yeah, from what you're saying, because at least there's clarity in what was attempted.
Yes,
and so that down the line you can pivot or you can double down or pull back to know that people are actually they're in tune with the community.
Yeah. And, Cola said it before too, it's making that stuff clear as day. It's, you can make a decision on whether you agree with the team or not. It's like, hey, I don't agree with this change to X character or X system mechanics. So that's, it's fantastic. Overall, lightly sort of wrapping up on Tekken, I think the patch is moving in a good direction. A lot of people in Tekken land, like I said before, hate these top tiers. And these top tiers are getting nerfed. They're getting, I don't want to say put into the ground just yet, because I think there's still a little spark of life in some of them. Not all of them. Not all of them.
I was going to say, I'm going to be real and say Azucena, the one that got one of the most amount of nerfs, is going to be fine. They have to change the play style to more of the dancey sort of stance aspect that she has. But I still think she's going to be nasty. And people like Arslan Ash, that we've seen, take that kid to the top, he's going to be able to adjust and do just fine. And the other players are going to be able to do just fine. Maybe they'll have to have a secondary. Maybe they'll go to a different character because it'll suit their style. But, I don't think the nerfs are going to murder the characters.
No.
In so much where you won't see as many Azucenas, but you'll probably you'll see less of them. Same with Luke. You get a few nerfs here and there. You probably see less Lukes in terms of the top, but they'll still be at the top probably. So these patches,
I think
kill a character.
I think a good barometer is Sagat Street Fighter 4. Sagat was dominant, a fucking dominant character. Sagat, playing Sagat was like hanging out with a bully. All that there were characters who got in infinite block stun with Vanilla Sagat. It's wild. Vanilla Sagat, maybe even more broken than Aeun, right? But really? The way they nerfed Sagat, he was still a crazy good character, for the entire life cycle of that game. But he just wasn't, you didn't just throw your hands up in frustration when you played him.
You don't actually want to kill these characters. You just want to sort of bring them down to speed and sort of slow them down compared to the rest of the cast. And I think that's what Tekken is doing now. They touched on Dragunov and Azucena and like Cola said as well. I like the Azucena change because I think it's shifting the character towards the play style they initially intended when developing the character. I think they developed the character with the sort of dance in mind that she does, and the fact that the game plan is probably going to focus more on the evasive maneuvers and that kind of thing is probably good for that character in the long run, right?
Make the game keep what's fun about the character. Don't take away somebody's new toy. Just make sure that it doesn't have any weird plastic that's going to stab them when they pick it up.
Yeah, or rocket.
Keep the identity.
So let's quickly run through Strive and MK1, I guess. Strive, Cola, what are you seeing?
We've only just seen Slayer. I don't know anything about the new patches because they really haven't had a new patch in a while. And a lot of people are looking for a new patch before the season starts, and it's not going to happen. They're going to get Slayer. They said, I think they're waiting for a while for a massive patch to drop, which is kind of wild to be dropping patches in the middle of the tour season. We'll see how that goes. But looking forward to that new character, at least to shake up the meta. A character shake up the meta does happen quite a bit. That also may happen with Akuma being back to Street Fighter and obviously with Lydia and Tekken. So a character can shake up the meta. You might see more matchups being taken care of with this character and things like that, depending on how strong they are. But gear typically doesn't have a strong character off the bat with a DLC. Happy Chaos not included, obviously. And for MK, bro, I don't know. They be patching it consistently. I think they added a new character recently. It was Homelander, right?
Movado. They have Movado that's coming to the game.
And Pharaoh
he's
was
a cameo, right?
Yeah,
Movado was cameo. But I know, but also Homelander's coming through though, right? I think
Homelander as well.
Yes.
Yeah, because I saw him drinking the milk. Man, that's crazy.
That was crazy.
I feel like that game is still not fully recovered to what was like. I mean, like, look, listen, for MKX and a lot, like, there were issues with the last MK game, I'm sure, and the game before that, but like, man, like, it feels like the MK had a dominance in fighting games for like a little bit, and it feels like that's quite a bit less now. And I don't know how much is the lack of patches or more patches. And like, I mean, I think that brings us to our next topic. And again, Lumi, just tell me if I'm going over time. Patch wise, like we talked about a few months ago about like patch culture and how often we should patch. We're about to start a new season. What do you guys think? Just for the new season, all these games feel like they're going to start a brand new season in June or July. So what do you think is our next year? Like we had a bunch of games take radically different approaches to patching. What's the way forward? Are we doing multiple patches? We doing a mid-season patch? We doing no patch? Let this shit rock. What's good for the game balance and what's good for the player base? Because I think those are two different things.
Damn, that's a hard one. That's difficult because it's depending on the game.
I'll start.
Okay, fine.
I'll start.
Go on.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Okay. I think mid-season patch, and I think that I think it's a sliding scale. The more patches you have, the better it is for the player base because they're more interested. Like, obviously you can overdo it, right? But if you have patching throughout the season, right? And like, let's say you do have a patch every 2 to 3 months, right? Great. You have people consistently interested. Bad for game balance because everybody just attracts to the top characters. There's no development of more complex, difficult character balance. Like balance balance is dependent on patches at that point, right? As opposed to meta and game. Yeah. What's up?
I said it becomes Marvel Snap.
First off, Marvel Snap is great. Fuck you, Lumi.
No,
okay?
it is good, but you gotta admit, like, you know, patch every week is kind of like, whoa, like, you know,
every 2 weeks. Yeah, no, definitely the Marvel Snap meta. Well, that's also a little bit different because it's a card game. So like, it feels
I'm just
like
trying to draw the parallel that it's like, you know, keeping up with a game might feel like a chore if there's too many. I was towards the direction.
Definitely. I mean, when didn't Mortal Kombat have that at one point? Like there was a Mortal Kombat game. I'm trying to forget which one where they were like patching like every month, and then it was like, well, what the fuck is the point of playing or sticking with a character if it's just going to get nerfed the next month or something like that, right?
Right.
So there's that. I think also the player base that you have. Like I also think that not patching for the whole year has hurt Street Fighter 6 in some ways because the balance has gotten better and the meta has gotten better, but the frustrations for the game have also increased because there are things that people have wanted fixed, or there are characters who are feeling very stagnant that they've wanted to develop more that have not gotten developed. And it feels like you're kind of alone there without really a prayer in the world of what to do. So I feel like, you know, there needs to be at least a little bit more balance, whether it's a quarterly patch or a mid-season patch. But it just can't be too often. It can't be every month or it can't be every week, you know? And it can't be every time somebody complains. It's got to be these set times where we're all looking at the same time. So top players know when shit's going to change and everybody's on the same page.
I agree with that. I think maybe the best way would be like a big patch like a month before, or maybe like even 2 months before. Give it time to breathe right before a tour starts, and then in the middle, then you give them like a couple weeks to suss out the patch, make sure there's something broken, you know, take out the wild stuff like what they had to do with Rashid, and then minor tweaks here and there, but nothing big. I feel like too many patches also, you know, you mess with the balance. And also if you're in the middle of a tour and you're trying to qualify, you're trying to get like $1 million and they just kill your character, you like, damn, bro, like, what do you say? What do you say fuck me for? You know?
I think it's very clear at this point that, like, you know, and I don't want to be like too much top player privilege, but like competitive seasons got to like be the pat. Like it can't be the general consensus. It's got to be competitive seasons that dictate patch frequency because most of the time Yeah, because most of the time, and this is not to say that players normally, if they're frustrated with a character or a system, but it's that most of the time, top players will say something, and it's just an opinion that filters to everybody else, right? Like, and that's not to say that people don't have, like, if people have a good take, then great, that should be implemented. But most of the time, when you implement takes from the wider community and top players are playing a different game where those takes are not as prevalent, that's a problem. And then also, like, in terms of like attracting new players buy fighting games because they look cool. That's why. Like, if the competition looks cool, they'll buy it, right? Nobody is not buying Street Fighter. Nobody's like, do you want to buy Street Fighter 6? Well, the drive rush system seems very complicated. They don't fucking care. It's green stuff that comes out and it looks cool, and they'll buy it, right? Getting new players into that game is not difficult. It's retaining players and making them engage more with the competitive side of things, which is where you get more DLC sales, which is where you get more costumes and cosmetic sales, which is where you get more people attending the events like Capcom Pro Tour. And I think the competitive season has to dictate that. And it's a big boy conversation that I'm excited for us to have, because it's getting us closer to a widespread sport versus a, like, we're so close, that we've been having for a while.
Yeah. And, it's also one of those things where it's like, we have to always factor in events too, right? We have a Pro Tour, and on these stops during the Pro Tour, an event will happen, right?
Well, that's what I mean. Like, the competitive season should dictate,
as long as there's coordination between sort of the tour and the event, and if they play around that. And honestly, I think, if we have a down season of events as well, isn't there like sort of like a month or two that it's just like we're not having like the big events and stuff like that? I mean, if there's something like that already exists, I think that would be a fantastic place to implement like sort of a big change, because we know that these players and people are going to get excited to play again, and they're going to play online, and not necessarily rely on the event to sort of like drive that hype, pun intended.
Am I wrong to say that there's a lot more locals popping up in the last few months that we haven't seen? It feels like I'm hearing about a new local in California every couple weeks now.
It's possible.
It's possible.
Maybe that could be also because like the tours are starting up, like the TWT tours are starting up.
Yes.
So they're having more dojos being built because like around that, which is great. If the art existed, that's awesome. If they have it and they're being made for the dojos, that's even better. That's even more places. But I do think that it does feel like a lot more places are coming back though.
That's what I'm saying. Is like, I feel like there's been like, because most of the time it felt like, I'm saying that it feels like there's probably going to be more coordination. It feels like between events, right? Because I remember like last year, it felt like there's Combo Breaker, there's Evo, and there's CEO, and then there's other events. There's like Frosty Faustings. There's Defend the North. There's other. I think the Fall Classic was also last year as well. Am I wrong?
I believe so.
I'm not sure. I'm not certain.
Yeah, Red Bull Kumite. Like there are these events, right? But I'm saying like I remember there was a point where there was like a major every single month, and there's all this crazy shit happening. Yeah, I feel like there are far more events that I've seen announced in the last few months about things that are happening, and it would be great if like we just need to get back to coordinating between events, because that'll help the competitive players navigate their season a little bit better, right? And it'll help the developers have an understanding of, okay, everybody's going to be here. Everybody's going to be here. This is a major thing. This is a major thing. This weekend, if this drops, the eyes are going to be on these players, how they'll do. If they know what's going to drop this time. And like, again, transparency about like, we're going to patch the game on this time. Like if they say 3 months out, we're going to patch the game. Yeah.
Yes,
if they say 3 months out, the patch is coming. That's something I do like from Marble Snap. They're like, this patch is going to come. They tell you when they're going to do patches.
Yeah.
Like, there's going to be a patch
consistent.
second week of March, fourth week of March. If they know like, there's going to be a patch in October, right? If that's the case, like, then October, everybody who's playing, let's say Luke gets a gun. Everybody who's playing with Luke's gun, like, is like, they're taking this out. So enjoy it while you can, and they can actually mentally prep and understand that what's going to happen, right? As opposed to being like, oh, fuck, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I don't know when the hammer is coming. I don't know whether I should learn a new character. I don't know what's this is going to get nerfed. I don't know how long I have, how long I should double down, when I should be, you know?
Right.
That's an interesting thing to talk about and sort of touch on. But player behavior is so impacted by like patches and also a little bit of like the culture around it as well. At this point, it's really interesting to sort of know. And I completely agree with you, Zaid. I hope, you know, some of these changes get a little bit more, it's a little bit more clear. And I think we're moving in that direction. So as long as we keep moving there, I'm personally excited. And to touch on sort of like the events thing, I can't obviously speak at a major level, but at like a local level as a TO, it's depending on the region for sure. But, you know, we also always try to coordinate. That's like, we always look, okay, like what are the majors that are happening this month? What are the sort of events that are also happening this month? We talk to all the other TOs and like the New York region. We're like, yo, when are you doing your monthly? When are you doing your stuff? Okay, cool. We'll do it. And, you know, as long as like that a line of communication is open, I think that's king personally.
Only final thought is, if you're going to do a patch, just let me know way ahead of time, and I think we'll all be fine. No matter how bad the patch or good the patch is, just let us know ahead of time so we can just acclimate and get ready for it, and just not do it 2 weeks, 1 week before, and just drop it. Hasn't happened recently, but I'm just saying, let's keep it chill.
Yeah, don't jump scare us. That's all I'm asking.
Please.
Yeah. So, dropping patches like Kendrick songs. Okay. Yeah. This is just how it's gonna be today. Okay. What is it? Next thing is Cole, you want to introduce actually, Lumi, you want to introduce our next topic about fighting game content?
Unfortunately, we're gonna have to circle back to Twitter, as we always do. But this time there could be a positive here. Let's look for that in this conversation. A very prominent sort of player, as well as FGC person in the FGC named Javits, put out a tweet saying, what kind of content do you think is missing in the FGC? And this tweet blew up. It's at 941.2K views, a lot of impressions, a lot of comments, a lot of talk. And this has sort of breeded an interesting conversation. And some of them have gone in directions you may not have thought. I want you guys to sort of weigh in on this and maybe focus on a particular path here. What content do you think is missing in the FGC in particular?
Feed pics.
They got to take you off. They got to take you out back.
I'm not going to apologize. I'm not going to apologize.
You got to go. The Foot Clan, you got to go.
I'm not going to apologize. So, listen, I'm not going to apologize for quality. All right? Okay? Do we want to lie? You tell me right now. You're watching Evo. You're watching Evo. The intro comes on, and it's a big old foot.
It's a bunch of grippers on the screen.
It's a big old foot. It's a beautiful foot.
You know what's crazy is that will get a lot of views. That will get a lot of views. I mean, if we talk about what get views, that's gonna get more than a combo video. So you ain't lying.
Put them dogs away.
I think storyline content needs to be more. We need to do more storyline content. I think I think we've talked about it before. We are missing the conversations about. I thought one of the best conversations we had in the last few weeks was Mena RD the GOAT after Evo Japan. Like, that was a fucking amazing conversation because, you know, like, it's another conversation about legacy. We're getting to know more about this player. Mena RD has done an incredible job about building his storyline without a ton. Like, there's the people who can do it, and when it's important, do it amazingly. But in the off season, when we're not immediately talking about CPT, we're not immediately talking about Evo, it is hard for players to keep up the conversations about themselves going in a way that is substantive, because it's always about the patch. It's always about how is this character nerfed, or is this character. To an extent, I think that's important, but I would like us to talk less about the characters and more about the players, because it doesn't matter what fucking happens. The players are going to play at the top of the top, right? You know, Daigo is still talked about no matter if his character gets nerfed or not, right? You know, Justin is still talked about, you know, like Mena plays two characters, and if Luke gets nerfed, he still got Blanca. right? Like we have so much. I mean, unless Blanca also gets nerfed, and then Mena will play Ryu because I hope he will. But like, you know, like we have. I really do think that there needs to be a focus on players. Like I agree with. I think we wanted more cultural stuff about what's there to eat around the FGC. What are we talking about? Like, and I think that we've moved towards that, which is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. Now, I think we got to talk about storylines, and I don't think we're doing it enough.
You know, my solution to all of this, to be honest, is we need more people. We need more people in our scene because I feel like we're effectively talking to the same people. This slowly growing, but we are talking to the same people, and those same people want so many different things. You look at the results of that tweet and you'll see, I want good content. Well, what do you want for good content? What does that mean for you? I want a lot more combo videos. Okay. And then someone else is like, well, I don't like this sort of content. Then, okay, support the content that you like. But you're only one person.
That shit pisses honestly, me off, bro.
That's like NBA fans. Again, that's NBA fans who are sideline. Because the thing about specifically fighting games is like you're not only a sideline coach for the game, you're a sideline coach for people's streams and how they present their streams. Because the difference is everybody who watches the NBA thinks they could ball. Everybody who watches fighting games thinks they can make better content and play and ball, right? So like I don't fucking take any of those, like just to an extent there's a reason they're unhappy. It's not only because of themselves. I think there is a reason and a thing they want to see that's not being represented. They're just not expressing it well. But you can't listen to that shit about like I just want good content. There's plenty of good fucking content out there.
Let me add to that. Also look for it.
Look for it. Yeah.
You got to
search it out, support it.
You got to understand that these algorithms, as much as people going, oh, the algorithm, all these thumbnails of someone going, you look at this channel right now, you see all our thumbnails. I'm sure there's someone out there that's going to post it being like, LOL. Look at these guys. Look at these clowns. And it's like, listen, there's certain things you have to do for the algorithm to pick you up. That's one of those things. It's not like the end all be all, whatever. But listen, you got to realize that there's an algorithm that picks content for you, as well as a content. It pushes out certain things that are successful, right?
Yeah.
You have to search for content that you want to see. Hold on. I gotta push back on that a little bit because the thing is that 100% there is. Okay, look, there's a difference between when you're talking about when we make the algorithm the boogeyman. I think I think that's a problem because it's not the boogeyman. The algorithm for people who are brand new content creators is hard. I'm not going to act like it's not. There is a perchance for drama, right? We know that. But there's also a fact that the algorithm does have a, like, if you know anything about YouTube, like the thing people think about, like when you go viral on YouTube is like, oh, well, it's going to show up on somebody's homepage and they're going to see it and they're going to click on it more than everybody else. YouTube does that shit all the time. They do it hundreds of thousands of times on videos that get like 100 views, right? Well, not 100 views, but like videos that don't do well, they'll do it thousands of times, right? Like sometimes if your video gets 100 views, they've showed it to like 10,000 people. It's just 100 people clicked on it. The way videos get the most views and pulled through is there's a thing called the suggested videos category. And that's when YouTube takes what you've done and is like, hey, listen, actually, this would go really great right after this video, right? And there's a way to algorithmically kind of dial that in so that that video goes to this video, right? And so for Street Fighter content and player-based content and all this content that we have, all of the thumbnails are great. All of the titles are great on their own. And they languish because of that. Because that algorithm it's not that the algorithm is punishing them. It's that you have to, it's like wine pairing. That's have exactly to pair what I was about to say.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought you were disagreeing.
I was saying you have to curate your algorithm. You have to curate your suggested. I was literally
but that's not a player problem. That's a problem with. That's a content specific problem. I don't want to blame the content creator, but that is a content specific problem because, like, if you're a player can gear, if you watch 50 hours of Capcom Cup based streams, right? Mm-hmm. There's a million like the things that come up on my thing are like Yoga Flame 24, like this is a crazy Ryu player with 2000 RP and everything. The reason those work so well is those guys have figured out the keywords, the titles, the thumbnails that pair well after you watch a Capcom Cup stream. And what we have to do is we have to figure out the titles and thumbnails of a documentary that pairs well under that. You can do it. There's a way to do it, but I don't think we've tested or we've shot specifically for that thing. And I think it's something that is not talked about enough in YouTube. Like that's the secret for a lot of YouTubers. It's suggested videos. When you get partnered, suggested videos make up the bulk of where you make your AdSense revenue and everything like that. The rest of it's sponsored content. But like whenever I have a video pop off where it like pairs, like if I did a thing about Kendrick Lamar and this whole thing, and it gets posted, like if you watch Not Like Us or you listen to Not Like Us, my video is going to pop up as a reaction because people are like, oh shit, this is this thing you just saw. Here's a great little like post-mortem thing that's kind of in the same vein. And you just keep getting sucked into the loop as opposed to like, here's something completely different you have to switch your brain around for. And I think that's why a lot of our fighting game content keeps... I'm sorry I'm talking so much, but that's a big thing I think that is missing from this conversation. It is on the content side to an extent.
Yeah, let me tap in on this. And let me clarify something as well. What I was sort of getting passionate about, what I was talking about in particular, is the people on that thread that said that there's nothing out there.
Of course, yeah. That's bullshit.
Let me clarify. Let me say that for a fact. It's one of those things where you cannot come to me and complain if you haven't searched and curated your feed.
That's true.
That's
true.
Yeah.
I will give you that.
Yeah.
So, okay. I think that's fair. Yeah. Like if somebody hasn't, Like if somebody's,
but I agree with you as well. Let's not make the algorithm the boogeyman. It's there for a reason, and it's something that creators got to get used to. All 1000%.
Yeah.
Just for like fighting games, I'm also going
by that. Like these, I'm also going by like people who bitch are not going to fuck it. We can't. There's to an extent people who are armchair experts are not going to save the fighting game community.
Yeah.
Right. Like we're not like if we're waiting for people in armchairs to be like, we love Street Fighter 6. I'll get used to Drive Rush. You know what? I'll give these top players their flowers. They're not going to do that. Right. To an extent, we have to push what we need to push in a way that is healthy for the scene. That doesn't mean lie. We don't need to lie, but we need to if we're contributing it, we have to do. I just don't trust. Maybe I'm cynical. I just don't trust people who are like, big talkers to like suddenly be like, you know what? It's going to be on me. And if I want to find the content, I'm going to find it because they would have done that.
Exactly.
Like that's it's an entitlement thing of like, hey, feed me this. It's not good enough. Fuck you. And I'm like, well, then why are you here?
Yeah. Yeah. I sense this conversation. Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Cole.
Sorry, Cole's been trying to talk.
Yeah.
No. I like listening to this. No, because y'all definitely have a deeper knowledge about this than me. But I think, overall, I agree with y'all in terms of like people need to start curating their own stuff and start looking at their own YouTube right now. Go to your YouTube right now. What is your stuff when it says suggested? When you go to your front page, what is it? Is it curated to what you like? Obviously, you don't have full control over that, but what you watch is going to affect what you're going to watch later on. So if you're just watching goofy ass shit and you're just like, oh, I can't see any FGC stuff, maybe you need to search for the things that you want to actually see more consistently. Like it, subscribe to it. Also, this is beyond just YouTube, but like I feel like promotion needs to get better on other platforms just in general. Yes. We need, as curators and content creators just in general, need to get better about promoting on other platforms and how they come across other platforms. But also the viewers need to be better about finding that information on those elements too as well. Twitter is a hell space, or whatever you want to call it. It's terrible. I get it. But like on your normal page that you have, the not the other page, not that, hey, the suggested stuff, the one that you have where you follow your people, you control that. You put that in your own list of like, oh, I follow these people, so I want to see these things. You can control that to a certain effect. So like some of this is in the hands of the people.
I definitely agree with it, but like, I don't know. I feel like I'm a hater right now, but I'm one of those people. I don't want to be one of those people who say pull up your pants and shit. Like, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like, bro, like I don't know why I was referencing a Bill Cosby quote. Like, that's very weird. Like, if it just sounds like I'm saying, no, that's making it worse. Okay, listen. Fuck. Okay. Bill Cosby at one point when he was talking about rap music was like, why don't you pull up your pants and be decent? And that was this really bullshit, uncultured argument, right? Where he was blaming the people putting out, the people who are trying to work on, like the people who are a reflection of the environment that they're in for their circumstances and talking about them. They're saying, oh, it's your fault, when it's really the environment they're in, and they're trying to reflect it so there can be changes made, right? Like that's what I'm referencing that. I'm not trying to do that for people who are having a hard time creating content and building. I'm not trying to blame you for this. I am saying though, that when I go on TikTok, you know, before it gets banned or whatever the fuck happens to it, and I see just a horizontal fighting game combo and then just plain white text, look at this combo. That's not enough effort, guys. Like that's like, I have to do something on TikTok, so I'm doing it. Right. Mm-hmm. There's a billion people on TikTok. There's so many fucking people. Like, wait, who are you saying? That called you guys out fast?
Bro, that's me. I'm a very basic TikToker, so
no,
I do
because
think
you've done but I've seen some of your stuff. Like, you've done other stuff where like you are trying to format for the platform. Like, that's a lesson that everybody learned 7 years ago. Like 7 years ago, that was the biggest conversation. Like, hey, we're not formatting for Instagram. Hey, we're not formatting for YouTube. Hey, we're not formatting for Twitter. Mm-hmm. And now, like in the year of our Lord 2024, we're just kind of half-assing jumping to another platform. You know, we got to do, like, that frustrates me. Like, we got to do, look at Max. Max has been here for a while, but the reason Max is so like consistent is because he really spends a shit ton of time formatting for the platform. Right? There is Max content that he's put out where it's bombed. And you see content afterwards where he completely switches it up and makes sure that it's engaging, make sure that it's easy to digest depending on where you are, and you stick with it. And I find it frustrating that, like, you know, Max was at the top of his game, is still like, he's not resting on like, I am Maximilian, you're going to recognize me. He's still being like, yo, if I don't put my 100 into making sure this is formatted right, my editors need to make sure this looks good for TikTok, it's looks good for this thing. Like, if he's doing that, why aren't you? Like, we all got to do that. And that takes, it's exhausting. It's exhausting for me because I have to do that for fucking shit. Yeah, and for Lumi, it's exhausting for Lumi. Like, give him an
that's my damn job.
My shit. Let me talk my shit. All right, hold on a second. Let me fucking cook.
Okay, go.
Let this man cook.
When I was on the scene in TikTok, for those of you that don't know, I started on TikTok. I hate saying that, but that's just the truth.
I started on TikTok. I have a career because of TikTok. TikTok is dope.
Listen, TikTok is okay. Okay, it's not the boogeyman like other people say it is, but it's one of those things where, like, I literally saw, I'll share a story. I saw Justin Wong's content. I saw it. It was like a blown up screen. It was like a corner. It was like a alpha like combo with like Sakura.
Are you giving the speech for, I don't want to interrupt you. Are you giving the speech from Looper right now where he's like, I saw a bad future and I put a gun in your hand? No. And
well, maybe, kind of, a little. We'll get there quick, I promise. It won't be as long. But essentially what I'm saying is, I'm like, yo, here's how you do it. Format it this way, do it this way, do it this way. As long as creators are starting to realize that it's like, it's not as plug and play as you think. I think a lot of people are used to the Twitch stream straight to YouTube timeline that a lot of content creators end up doing, where it's this, they'll stream, they'll clip a part of their stream, whether it's ranked matches or, you know, whatever it is. And it's a very formidable way to make content because it's another revenue stream. Not only are you making a YouTube video, you're also streaming on Twitch or whatever platform you choose. And that allows you to get extra revenue. It also allows you to kind of just squeeze out the content in the most efficient way possible. And stuff like that works for YouTube. But you can't bring that shit to TikTok. You can't bring that to Instagram Reels. You can't bring that to...
You can also see it in the difference between the Twitch. I mean, I think you mentioned that the difference in the Twitch like a good example is Punk. If you get a Punk stream, he's like, "Hey, yo, fuck, why am I fucking doing this shit right now, bro?" And then when he's on TikTok, he's like, "Hey, what's up, YouTube? How you doing there? It's me, Punk. I hope you're having a wonderful day. The sun is beautiful.
Mr. Rogers.
Say hi to your mom for me. We're doing great. You know what? Your character is good. We're gonna be okay, all right." And on Twitch, he's like, "What's this bullshit?" And like, it's two different audiences, right? He's still him. That's still an aspect of himself, but he's putting it into different lenses, right? Like, I don't. Punk isn't. I don't think I met Punk until like Evo of this last year, and like went up to him. I was just like, "Hey, man," he was very, very kind, and I saw that YouTube side of him versus the Twitch side of him, right? So it's not changing who you are. It's just, you're a different person at a dinner party than you are hanging out with your boys, you know, like on a Friday night, right? Like,
sure.
it's a very different experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, it's I wish more
Cola, do you have something to
creators.
say? I feel like Cola's marinating on some idea.
I'm marinating all this great knowledge, but you know, at the end of the day, we're talking about the quality of all the content, stuff like that. I think overall, for anybody that's aspiring to do content, just make content. You know, even if it's not perfect, aspire to be better with your content and make more quality. Just keep making more content. I think for me, like the two things is I just want more people to make more content. If you look at other genres, people are not. They're creating dozens of things. I watch like the Moist Critical guy do like taste tests for waters and stuff like that, or what's the best pizza. Why aren't we doing stuff like that, fun stuff like that, you know, every so often? You know, like, give me some more lifestyle stuff. Give me all forms of content. I don't even care if it's bad or popcorny, whatever. Give me all that variance, bro. I love all of that.
Here's the thing, though, too. There's 914K impressions on that tweet, right?
Yeah.
I will bring this up. So I was on not to bring up the Kendrick thing again, I was on a podcast with Olayami Aloran, who's the person who gave Eric Adams, like, who beat the shit out of Eric Adams in a debate a couple weeks ago. Yeah, so I was invited on a podcast. I asked to be on it because it was about Drake and Kendrick, to talk about the beef. And on there was FD Signifier, who's super big, well-known YouTuber. He did a video on Tekken. He did one video on Tekken about how Black people love Tekken. Right. And how important it is in the African-American community to be good at Tekken, and then the love for it has. Right. And on the thing, I was like, "Hey, man, I saw that video." And he's like, "Yeah, man, like, I'd love to do more stuff with the FGC, man. That'd be really, really cool." And he knew about the patch stuff. He was following everything, but he doesn't have a lot of FGC specific content right now. And I think that the impressions on that tweet show you the FGC is broadly popular. Like, people like this shit, but there is a hesitancy for people like Moist and for FD Signifier to know what works in this scene as content, because maybe it is a little too gatekeepy about, like, oh, we have to make this kind of content. It has to be streaming content. It has to be this. Like, I would love for people who are not streamers to chime in on what they love about Tekken and what they love about Street Fighter 6 and what they love about Grand Blue and what they love about Strive. You know, like, that Strive already gets a lot of people who love just the characters and the aesthetic and what's cool about it. Right. Sure. You know, like, if people like FD, and I was telling them, dude, like, a lot of, because I remember a lot of people talked about that FD Signifier video about Tekken and we're really, really hyped about it. It's like, yeah, man, you know, I know Sajam, he called Sajam. He called Sajam Sajam. Sajam invited me on to something and everything like that. And I want to go. They're all down to play and come to the session. You know, it's just, how do we make the content ecosystem open for them to contribute? Because they know how to make content. It's just, how do we make it open for them to contribute, if that makes sense?
We just got to be there. I feel like we just have to be there, be accepting, be ready to support them, as we should support everybody in and outside the FGC. And again, all this to me is, you know, make more content. Doesn't, you know, build up obviously as you go, but just keep making more content and think about the people outside the FGC and pull them in, because we need more people that are not just the sweats, the people that already know this stuff. We need people who are brand new, who have never seen or even knew that Street Fighter 6 was out or Tekken 8 was out. They've been only played since like Tekken 3, and they dropped off and went back to NFL Blitz or whatever. We got to start pulling more people in just in general. I don't know why I said Blitz. That's a really fucked up game. Anyway, that's my farthest fill. Y'all, I definitely have better ideas on this.
That's CTE
you're deeper
the game.
Taking the drugs and stuff. You know, that was a messed up game for me to play.
They
as a kid,
say
so.
QTE, that's CTE. That's
CTE.
That's what that game
That's OD.
is.
That's crazy.
Taking the shots and stuff. Oh man, that was a good game.
Yeah,
Good
dude,
times.
Cola, 1000%. We just have to be there. We have to be there.
Yeah.
We got to make more stuff. But hey,
All right, let's do one final little story because we're running out of time here.
for sure.
And let's jump on to Combo Breaker. Cole, you wanna just very quickly preview what Combo Breaker probably is going to be like, what we got going on?
Bro, this is the biggest combo breaker I think we've had thus far. Thousands of people coming out. I don't remember the exact numbers, but I know that there's over 1,000 people for Street Fighter, for Tekken. It's record-breaking numbers for most of the games out here. And for most
14,
of these, go ahead.
Tekken 8 is
14?
the biggest game there.
Yes.
1,620 players for Tekken 8. 1,432 players for Street Fighter 6.
Not even a tour.
863 for Guilty Gear. Grand Blue versus 674. Under Night in Birth 6. Those are huge numbers, dude.
Those are massive.
Yes.
Those
Massive.
are enormous numbers. And this is a I think the biggest thing is also it's a non-Evo tournament. Like it feels like a 2010 major.
Yeah.
Like
that's a really
it feels
good
like
point.
a 2010 major. Like that's
Or even before
that's
COVID.
way before COVID. Like nature is healing. Like what were the CEO numbers last year? Like what
They were massive.
CEO numbers.
Street Fighter was insane. It was around that area too. Like this surpassed the CEO numbers. And that was a release of Street Fighter 6. Like, and this is 9 months in plus for Street Fighter 6. You know, for some of these games, they do have a tour. For Street Fighter, there's no tour. But even them having a tour doesn't mean people are going to just rush out there or go out there and, you know, fly out and play or whatever, because they might want to go to Evo or save up for that, or DreamHack Dallas is the next week. So people might want to save up their money. The fact that people are coming through worldwide, by the way, are coming through to play even for a tour or for like a lower amount of price, but whatever it may be, for the love of the game and to be at this amazing tournament speaks volumes to the quality of the tournament, the love of just playing fighting games in general, the fact that you get to go out here and enjoy the vibes because it's a 24-hour venue. There's a bar that's right upstairs if you're into that, spicy water sort of thing. And there's a lot of stuff to do while you're out there. It's a good location. It just, as you said, feels like nature is healing.
Yeah, slowly but surely. I was looking up Combo Breaker entrance from 2023. Okay, this is insane. All right, so entrance from 2023. Guilty Gear was 1,000 people. Strive was 1,000 people. Right.
Okay. That's not bad.
Tekken 7 was 690 people. Right. Mystery Game was 479. SSB was 425. From this year alone, Guilty Gear had some drop off, but it's still at 863, which is a very respectable number.
3 to 4
The fact that
game.
Tekken 8 is literally the top game. There's 600 more for the top game than last year, and then the second top game is 1,400, which is
that's nuts.
I mean, that's more than double the second top game of last year.
Crazy
Like
work, bro.
so the numbers are enormous. And then honestly, the lowest registered game in 2023 was 19 people. Here it's 48. I mean, which is a respectable bracket.
That's a boost. That's up, you know.
That's enormous. And I mean, like, it just shows Combo Breaker has been doing amazing things. I mean, I'm a little biased because I'm involved in the music team, but like, Combo Breaker's been doing amazing things. I've never gotten to go. He's been doing amazing
What's your first
things.
Combo Breaker?
Yeah, I mean, like,
first one? Ooh, you're gonna have a good time.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, like I think it's one of those things where it's like it's been called like the tournament to go to, you know? Like, and like for your first time, you know, like Evo's intimidating, it's fun, it's wonderful. I think everybody should go to Evo. But like, man, Combo Breaker is like do you want to like kind of like figure out where you are in the scene? Right? Like, do you know if this scene's for you? You go to Combo Breaker to figure that out. And I think Rick has done an amazing job of not it's Combo Breaker's not Evo. They're two different events.
Very.
Wholeheartedly. And they both have their strengths, right? And weaknesses. And I think that, yeah, it's a testament to how that tournament has been run over these last, honestly, like 4 or 5 years. It's been an incredible thing to see. Yeah. So yeah, man, I'm excited.
I'm excited too. Every time I go to Combo Breaker, I feel refreshed. Feels like a nice, like nice bath. You just like, oh wow, I feel so refreshed. I love fighting games so much, all that stuff. It's like, after
look at Twitter.
like, yeah, don't turn the Twitter off. And that's how it is. Like, if y'all ever go to an offline event, it's night and day.
Yeah. It's a vibe. It's hanging out with your friends. There's something about the fact that like we're still recovering, I think, a little bit from COVID, because I think we really did lose a step with our ability to just kind of enjoy other people's company and talk in person. And online makes everything so much harder to find a consensus to. It's great that we have all this information, but sometimes you just got to be in the presence of somebody to really get them. And I feel like, true. We have, I mean, like, even when I see you guys at events, it's a different vibe. It's a much like Cola. When I see Cola, completely sober, obviously, because he's never in his life been off that juice, right? Like he's never touched the
spicy water.
No, he's never touched spicy water. Listen, Cola is a good Christian boy, and all he does, he says, listen, I'm like, Cola, do you want to turn up? He's like, listen, Lord Jesus doesn't want me to do that. And I'm like, whoa, Cola. He's like, by the way, said, do you have a minute to talk about this? And I'm like, Cola, I'm Muslim. And he's like, listen, we can't be friends anymore. I'll be on your podcast. But anyway, I'm just saying that Cola's a good human being, clearly better than me. And
I'm chugging a beer in the background. I'm just a DJ. I'm on vacation.
No, but it's just a different vibe when we're hanging out, man.
Right.
That TNS, like we at Evo, the floor was great. It was exciting. Evo, the suites afterwards, where everybody was just hanging out, the best part of that event. My girlfriend came to her first Evo last year, or first or second, I think second Evo last year. But I was like, dude, we have to go to some salty suites. And she's like, I don't like. I was like, no, that's the best part. That's the vibe, man. It's the party on the lower deck of the Titanic, man. That's what it is. So, alrighty. Well, that's gonna do it for today. Thank you for watching me monologue and steamroll people for fucking an hour. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah,
I feel bad for Cola. I felt like I talked over Cola a lot.
But to be honest, it's one of those episodes where I just want to learn more from y'all, because y'all are more deeply ingrained with the content scene. So hearing y'all go off was like, it was refreshing.
Cola, you're a commentator.
Exactly. I'm not a content creator. Y'all are. So I'm going to let y'all talk.
What are you talking about? Cola.
Yo, commentators don't content create.
I'm putting this on Twitter. Everybody scold Cola for saying he's not a content creator. I want everybody to give Cola that spicy...
Do I have a YouTube channel that's above 500? No, I don't. Do I?
Cola, everybody go subscribe to Cola's YouTube channel right now.
Go now.
Go now. And when you go there, I need you to comment, Cola, I need feet pics. That's what needs to happen.
Whoa, Cola's hey, those are like $10.99. Come on, per toe.
You got a price
you
already?
To pay up.
That's OD.
You got a price? First off, Cola's
times are hard, okay?
OnlyFans feet pics are $10.99. That's what we're hearing.
Times are hard. Help out your boy.
The scoop.
Cola's
gonna have Cola's gonna have like buy my feet pics on a hoodie at Evo. He's advertising. Let this man cook.
20%.
Let me cook. The grippers.
Anyway, my name is Tabani.
And I'm Feet Pick St. Cola.
And I'm Lumi.